Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. If you're new here, this is where we talk about integrating all of your preparedness efforts into a way that enables you to pretty much be ready for anything that comes along. For those of you who have been with us for a long time, you already knew that, so it's good to see you this morning. Uh, how defendable, how secure is your home? That's what I want to talk about today, and I think that a lot of people need to pay more attention to that. We have an increasing number of threats, both internal and coming from external sources. So I'll talk about that. So let's get before we get to that, just to remind everybody that the first annual Integrative Preparedness slash Stonemont gathering, the get together, the meetup, the everything, is coming up July 13th. 2024. So if you're watching this in 2025, you already missed it. Well, we'll probably have another one coming up. But it's coming up July 13th. Uh, it doesn't cost anything, but we need you to register if you'd like to come here. It's going to be in the Kansas City area, on the west side of the greater Kansas City metropolitan area in Kansas. It's a beautiful area, Lenexa, Kansas. It's a great area, um, very safe, beautiful. A lot of great restaurants around there, but we're gonna be having it in a park, a great location, a great. I have to limit the number of people who can come because the venue has limitations, but it's a great shelter house on a great lake, grills and fire pits, and a small lake right next to it, and a little bit larger lake within walking distance for those who want to fish or rent canoes or anything like that. It's going to be a one-day affair. Going to go from about 11 o'clock in the morning probably to about 9 o'clock that night. Great time for everybody to get together and meet each other, and for me to get a chance to meet you all, and I'm really looking forward to it. Down in the comment, or not here, but down in the information box on the YouTube, and then over on the Patreon side, I will put the links to all the things, the information on the venue, the registration link, so you can register. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything. And yes, you can bring friends. You can bring guests. I'll keep accepting up until the point where we reach our threshold, our limit. But you can bring people. They don't have to be my readers or my viewers, anything. I mean, you want to bring your family, right? You're not going to leave your family at home. So, of course. And so the registration link will be there. And that's through the Stonemont website, stonemont.us. You can also just go directly to the Stonemont website, stonemont.us. That's where you can also get my books and t-shirts and everything. And go to the events tab. That'll bring you to the registration link. And then there is also, I'll put a link to camping facilities close by for those of you who are coming from states away and coming in your campers or want to camp out or whatever like that. Should be a great time. So, and one of the reasons that I need to know registration is because we will be printing up cups, mugs, official mugs. This is the official mug for the first gathering. Isn't that beautiful? And on the back it says it's our tag, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, simple gratis, which means always prepared, always ready. I'm going to be selling these cheap, not making any profit because it's for those who come. No, I'm sorry, if you don't come, you can't order one. It's just one of those things, right? It's a way for people to remember that day. Okay, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, how defendable is your house, your home, your location, your family, your ranch, your farm, your house in town, or whatever like that? It's always been a concern. It's always been for anybody. I mean, people thought of security long before they thought of being preppers, right? Right? It's always been something. And people have always taken, certain steps to one degree or another to ensure that they are safe. A lock on your door, the locks on your windows, the locks on your car. Locks being the first thing that most people think about. But the world's getting to be more dangerous. And we are facing an increased number of threats, as I said, both internally and externally. And of course, the internal threats that we're concerned about when we talk about securing our properties. However, a lot of the threats that are becoming internal are coming from outside. And the latest one that not necessarily the latest one, it's just a latest one, Because who knows? There's probably a new one this morning since I read the news. But I was reading an article this morning about uh, an outfit called Tren de Aragua, and it's a Venezuelan gang, and it comes from, it means, I looked it up, it means the train of Aragua. And it started, well, it came out of, as so many do, the prisons in Venezuela. And not just Venezuela, I mean, many of the gangs start in prison. But it was a bunch of people that were working on the train tracks out of a town called Aragua to someplace else, I forget where. And it got into labor issues and stuff like that. Well, anyway, a bunch of them got thrown in prison, and they developed from there. Well, now they're in the United States, and they are all over the country. We know that we already have a lot of groups here, right? I mean, the old days of the Crips and the Bloods that's history. We have groups here now that the average American couldn't even begin to understand the thought process. If you're familiar with MS-13 or some of the other groups, I was undercover back in the late 70s and early 80s. During the time, it was right after Carter allowed that boat lift into the United States and Castro emptied out his prisons. And we saw a type of criminal coming into our country that we had never seen before. Never seen before. Up until that time, if you talked about any kind of organized crime, it was American organized crime, the Italian Cosa Nostra, the Irish, the Jewish gangs, the different things. And all of those operated according to, certain rules, certain accepted rules. They operated in the underlife, the underworld. They did it for money and political power and things like this. But they didn't jack with, civilians, citizens. They served civilians, citizens. That's where they got their power. And so as a result, for the most part, the neighborhoods were safer than later on when the government got rid of those groups and took over things. And now, it's different. If the mob were still in control, we wouldn't be having the problems that we're having now. I'll just say that. But when the Cubans came in, we saw. Did you see the movie Scarface? Okay. And then right behind them, the Colombians. It was a different mindset, totally different mindset that the average American cannot even begin to understand. And the level of violence and the level of brutality and the level of threat exceeds what most people can begin to understand. Well, now we have another group, and I mean, I could go on. I could list 20 South Central American groups that are now established in the United States. This one, Tren de Aragua, simply being the latest one. The point is not these specific people, but the idea that it is becoming more and more dangerous. Are you familiar? Have you ever traveled in Mexico or South America or other places around the world? You'll notice that people have walls and fences around their houses, and the more affluent have nice big brick or adobe or concrete walls with glass shards. It used to be the old days glass shards. You would you'd lay in the concrete on top of the fence, and then you'd stick broken beer bottles and stuff like that there to dissuade the occasional person who wanted to climb your fence and kidnap your kid or something. Well, it has become a lot more technologically advanced than that, of course. Excuse me while I take a sip out of it, because everything tastes better out of this. Well, bringing it back to the average person. The average person, because of the dangers that are out there, needs to pay closer attention to their own property security. Okay? Now, I've talked about this a little bit in the past. If you've read my books, I go into quite a bit of detail at Stonemont about the different different things that were built into the construction of Stonemont that that made it a secure, more secure place. And of course, everybody knows about, uh, uh, strengthening your doors and windows. Somebody's going to come on here and say, make sure that you put extra long screws in your strike plates. I think everybody knows that, okay? But if you just feel driven to add that, well, good. Okay, there's maybe somebody out there that didn't know that. I don't know. Secure your doors, secure your windows to the best extent possible. That means get the best quality windows. That means do all this. Go to another video, because there are a million videos out there that will tell you how to secure your doors and your windows. That's not really what I do here. What I do is try to explain the importance of different things, get you thinking about certain things, headed in the right direction, and giving you the overall plan. So if you've read my first book, The Reversion, I talk about it all in there, and then I think I probably addressed quite a bit more in the next book. By the way, I'm waiting. I just sent off the manuscript for the 7th book, On Wings Like Eagles, and they say they're going to get it to me on Wednesday. And as soon as I get it to here, then we'll go through. Kelly will go through one book. I'll go through another book. And then I'm sending another book to Link Lambeth, who those of you on Patreon know Link. He posts over there. You may not know that Link is a college professor, but he very kindly offered to run through the book and do copy editing on that for me as well. So as soon as we get those done, I'll make the corrections. It's quite a job finding all of my typos, I'll tell you that. and then I'll get it corrected, send it back, and that book will be available. Also, Amazon told me they're the printer of all of my books. They said that they will have my next load of paperbacks to me, I think sometime between the 12th and the 14th. So for all of you who have ordered the books through me, great, and you've waited on your orders patiently, I know. They should be getting them to me the 12th through the 14th, and I'll get them out to you. But I talk about this in the Stone Mont series, how to fortify. Essentially, you need to make your home a fortress. Now, to an extent, I won't say that it's easier or it's less important in the suburbs or the cities. Now, I mean, in the cities, you get into the cities, everybody's got metal bars on their windows. Well, not everybody. I mean, there's certain and that's not true. That's not true. People have this kind of a wrong idea about the cities. There are terrible places in the cities where people have bars on their windows, and they have to keep their neighbors from breaking in. But in the cities, there are many very nice areas that you really don't have to consider that. We just went down to Tim McGraw concert the other night, and if you see that part of Kansas City, it's you don't have anything to worry about. It might be a little bit more important if you live in a more rurally, okay? Because then, at least in the cities and the suburbs, you've got, first off, you've got a lot of neighbors around, which means you have a lot of witnesses. Criminals tend not to, come after you if they think somebody's going to see you. Plus, we have a lot of police, a lot of law enforcement, and quick response times. If you're out in the country, you need to, like I said, we've had farms for the last 150 years in central Missouri, and 200 years, I guess. Now, 150 years, right after that war in the 1860s. And it gets very, it's very solitary out there, and you don't have the law enforcement response, you don't have the people around you don't have, and because you don't have people around you, first off, you don't have people that will get there quickly to help you, and secondly, the criminals aren't worried about a bunch of witnesses. They see a house out there by itself, they go, oh, okay, we got a house full of people we can do anything we want to with, and for the most part, I know that, most people would try to defend themselves. I know that. And some would be able to more than others. The older you get, the less you're able to, right? It depends kind of the makeup of who's in the house. But very few people, if they don't have the background, the training, whatever, are going to be able to stand off a concerted effort by an organized group. It's just as simple as that. So for you all living out in the more rural areas, this is especially important to you. Now, after you take care of your doors and your windows and all that, your lighting and cameras are so important. Lighting, and many of you know that one of our businesses is a lighting, a security lighting business. And when we contract jobs on that, I explain certain things to my clients. And a lot of people, you have these lights that motion detector come on, when somebody approaches, and everybody at first, they think they want those. I said, no, you don't. You want your house lit up so much that it keeps people from approaching. You see, if you have one of those motion detectors on your house, you've allowed them to get up within 20 or 30 feet. They look at your house, it looks dark, they go, okay, there's a target, I'm going to go up there. Well, they get 20, 30 feet away, and somebody's going to say, well, mine picks up to 40 feet away. Okay, fine, whatever. I always have to put these things in because the occasional nitwit is going to jump on one little thing and make an issue, right? I say that because it's humorous. It doesn't bother me. But you've allowed them to get up there, the light comes on, now they got to make a choice. Okay, they're either going to run away, they will sometimes, or they'll run over behind your bush and say, that's probably one of those motion detector lights. Let's see if anybody comes out and pays any attention. And 10 minutes goes by, nobody comes out and pays any attention. They go, okay, that's fine. It was just a break in. And once they're in your house, and if you're in there, it is a whole different game. I'm not really going to talk about that. That's now we get into home invasions, and that's a whole different ticket. But you want to keep people away from your house. So when they're driving down the street or your country road or whatever, they see this place lit up. You know what they're going to do? They're going to leave. What they're not going to do is try to break in your house because criminals like cockroaches don't like lights. Turn on the light, all the cockroaches run. Turn on the lights, all the criminals go somewhere else. That's what you want. So lighting is one of the very most important because it keeps them away. Okay. The locks on your doors and windows, they can keep somebody. They can slow down somebody. Okay, they may not keep them out. Nothing's going to keep out somebody who is determined to get into your house. Nothing. And then you got a little war inside your house. That's why it's important to keep them away from your house. Now, I'm not going to show you the front of my house. I'm not even going to show you the back of my house. I'm not going to show you the sides of the roof or anything because that's security, right? And I know you said, well, you sit out on your deck. Yeah, but that doesn't show you anything. And you sit out on your front patio. Yeah, but that doesn't show you anything. Some years ago, it's been a long time. I did a lot of stone work in the front of my house. First off, my backyard is secure with fencing, with different plantings, and I call it security landscaping, and a big mean dog. And we don't have any problems. And for those people who said, well, I've got a dog, he's a good watchdog because he barks and yaps and everything like that. Yeah, I don't care about dog, yapping and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of people out in the country, my family included, they always kept hunting dogs. Okay, well, they'll put up a racket, but they're not really, they're not bred to defend you or attack anybody. And here's somebody going to say, well, I've got a Weimaraner, he'll bite people. Yeah, okay, well, that's not the same as a Shepherd or a Belgian or a Rot or anything like that. Anybody wants? Some people have asked me, what kind is your dog? What kind of dogs do you recommend? I did a video on that several years ago, I think, and I've got and my dog is a mix. I've thought about breeding him specifically for this mix. He's half German Shepherd, he's a quarter Rottweiler, and a quarter Husky. That gives him the basic defense capabilities and the natural abilities of the German Shepherd and the Rottweiler, which the Rottweiler is real close, almost as much as the German Shepherd as far as being a part of, feeling a part of, and defending a family while being, gentle and family friendly. They're not gentle with strangers. The Husky gives him the ability to stay outside until it's about 40 below. Sometimes I have a hard time getting him. It never gets that cold here. Sometimes I have a hard time getting him inside. He'd just rather sleep out. He'd rather just sit on top of his house and watch the snow come. So that's a good dog, but whatever you have is great. So several years ago, getting back to this, I did, and if you read some of the stuff that I explained in my first book, The Reversion, you'll know some of this. But I did a lot of stonework out front, and it looks decorative. It looks nice. It looks like a nice stone patio with retaining walls and other retaining walls for plantings and everything like that. But it's kind of like, after 9/11 when they put up all these big stone things in front of government buildings that are ugly, right? Well, mine aren't ugly. Mine are beautiful. They add to the look of the house, but they serve the same purpose. Not only do they, but what they do is they channel. They help to channel. If you're familiar with the term channeling, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, I go into detail on that in The Reversion. But it means that if somebody's going to approach my house, there's only a couple of ways that they can approach my door, and those ways are both in front of firing positions, shall we say. Okay. So they have to go past. They have to go. They can't just come up to my door any which way they want to. There are certain ways that I've built it. It has to channel it up to the front door, and I can cover everything as they approach. Now you can ask about, what about alarms? What about driveway alarms? What about things like that? Yeah, I'm all for those things. Make sure you get good ones. The ones that Harbor Freight aren't going to last you very long. But I'd always rather know that somebody's coming up my drive, or coming up my walk, or whatever. I'd rather know, 60 seconds ahead of time rather than when they knock on my door, right? So, it kind of comes down to what times are we in? Is it a bright summer's, sunny Sunday? Is it 2 o'clock in the morning at night? Whereabouts do you live? A lot of things. But because of the increasing threats that we face now, your home is, like they say, your home is your castle. And what does that mean? People, to the normal person, just thinks, well, that means that I can do what I want to in my home. Well, yeah, right. But it should also be defendable. If some people come after you, if they're going to attack, your response, and I don't care whether you live in the suburbs, the city, or rurally, if somebody wants what you have inside your house, your response is not going to be bug out. Okay? It's not going to be bug out. First off, you're not going to have the time. Secondly, you're not going to be safe running out into the woods or out into the field or out into the street or anything else if they're trying to attack you. Maybe what they want is you, right? Maybe they don't just want that sack of scrap silver in your underwear drawer. Maybe they want you or your wife or your kids. These are the things that you have to keep in mind. I meant to tell a story also when I was talking about lighting, the importance of lighting. Back in the early 80s, I bought, in the 70s, I guess it was. I forget. I don't keep track of years like that. It's when I was still undercover. I bought a house down the street from Carl DeLuna. They called him Tuffy DeLuna. He was an enforcer and then underboss of the Kansas City family. Excuse me. Mob family. Cosa Nostra. Tuffy was a tough guy. That's why you call him Tuffy. He'd come up through the ranks. And matter of fact, he was portrayed in that movie Casino. And the movie Casino covered an investigation that I was partly involved in. And he wasn't portrayed the right way at all. That's why I said, don't watch those movies. Don't watch the mob movies and think that it's telling you the truth. It's not. It's the biggest bunch of BS you've ever seen, except for Godfather 1 and 2. And Michael Francis, I've heard him say that was it the Netflix one or the HBO one that depicted John Gotti? He said that was a good one. I've never seen it, so I'll take Francis's word for it since he was there and I wasn't in New York. But anyway, so I bought a house right down the street from Tuffy, and it was kind of interesting because here he was, underboss of the Kansas City family, and here I was, law enforcement. But his house was lit up. Now there was kind of a war going on, an internal war amongst the organized crime groups there right then. And Tuffy lit his house up. I mean, looked like a birthday cake driving down the street. And he had some rudimentary cameras up. Camera systems were not as advanced, nearly as advanced as they are now. I forgot to mention that. You should have a camera system, not just one that records, because that's just acts as evidence, uh, for the cops to find out who did you in. But you need a monitoring system that you can monitor from your bedroom, your office, wherever, and see who is around your property. Okay. You can get those off of Amazon. Have somebody come and help you set it up if you don't know how. But those things are important. Monitor it. First off, keep people away from your house. That's number one. And then be able to defend it. Okay. So, that gets into the next, and I'm not going to go into it here. I'll probably go into it on Patreon. And that is your defense capabilities and the application of those capabilities inside your house. What if they get inside your house? That gets into things that YouTube doesn't like people talking about. So I'll do that later on someday over on the Patreon. If you're not with us on Patreon, by the way, you should be. We put a lot of stuff over there that never gets to YouTube, and is well worth your buck a month if you're serious about preparedness. And the way the world's going, you need to be more and more concerned and serious about preparedness than you've ever been. So I'll let you go with that. Remember about, if you want to order my books, the Stonemont series. By the way, I mentioned the other day, we just set a record in May, record sales on Amazon, and people all around the world. And thank you so much. I'm glad. I love so many of you buying, reading the books, and getting back to me, telling me how much you like, how much you learned from them. That's why I wrote them. And so the link to Amazon is right down in the information box. You can order them from them. They get them to you quickly. You can also order them from me directly through our website, stonemont.us. I don't get them to you nearly as quickly, I'll be real honest, but I sign them. I get to sign them for you. I get to write a note in there to you, and I love doing that. But like I say, I will run out, and then I have to order more, and then I wait for them to come in, and then I'll send them out, and then I'll run out again. It's just one of those things. So if you don't mind waiting, buy them from me. I love you to do that. If you want them right away, get them from Amazon, because that not only can they give them to you in paperback, but in Kindle and Audible as well. I know a lot of people have bought the whole set in paperback and then also got the Audible because they like listening to it again while they're working or driving or whatever. And remember, the Stonemont Integrated Preparedness First Annual Gathering, the get-together, the meetup, July 13th. This year, 2024, in Lenexa, Kansas. All the information you can get is down in the information box. For people on Patreon, again, I'll put the links down there. You need to register. It doesn't cost anything, but it's going to be a great day. And I'm looking forward to meeting everybody who comes there and spending the day. And it should just be a great time. So if you want to do that, get yourself registered, and we look forward to seeing you. So as we always say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. You're only going to live as well tomorrow as you prepare to. No better. And the world's getting more dangerous. Simple as that. And you need to accept that, realize it. I think most of you do. And prepare better for it. You can have all the rice and beans in the world, but if you're not able to defend it, you're just prepping for somebody else. Okay? You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.